Hi guys, when you move on to lunging, you want to be careful to take the same things that you were utilizing in all the previous videos into the lunging as well. Because most horses, when they go out on a circle, they'll hollow out their back and they'll fall into the circle or they'll fall out of the circle. And you want to try to find that point where they're just rotating nicely all the way through their body and traveling in a straight line on the circle, so to speak. So the way to do that is to make sure that all the body parts are in alignment, that you're not pulling the horse's head too much to the inside, thereby making the outside shoulder fall out, or that the horse isn't looking to the outside, making the inside shoulder fall out or fall in, or any of those things. So what I recommend is that you start in a smaller circle at first, and you just teach the horse how to move in a circle without letting him out on a bigger circle to start off with. Now, a lot of horses will start to hollow the second you put them out on a bigger circle, and then I'm going to show you what to do to fix that problem if you encounter it. Okay, so here I'm going to stay up in front of her, and again I'm going to put a little bit of bend into her skull here. There we go. And then ask with my inside leg behind the girth, and then I stay in front of the horse. And you see here she wants to drift out a little bit too much, so I'm going to stop the motion if she starts to drift. There, because she's pushing a bit too much with her hind legs. There, now she gets a little bit more balanced. So it's important both when you're working on the ground here and when you're riding, that if you start to lose balance, if the horse is pushing too hard with their hind legs and pushing forward, that you simply stop the horse and start over. Because once the horse has lost his balance, then there's not much you can do to fix the problem, because the loss of balance is causing more loss of balance and then more loss of balance, and they often speed up at the same time. Excuse me. So you want to make sure that the speed is not too quick and that the horse is able to stop. So here I'll overbend her for a moment to get her to find her hind leg back there. Again, we're always looking for the collection. And here I'm also lifting her up a bit when she loses her balance, to make sure that we lift those withers and use the neck as a lever so that she's not just pushing down into the ground. And we'll move forward again. And I keep staying in front of her because I don't want to overbend her neck, because that's just anatomically going to make her pop out on the right shoulder. So here she falls out a little bit. So it's important that I correct her balance all the time by maintaining some bend. And I'm looking for the hind leg stepping up towards, the left hind leg stepping up towards the left front, or right between her front feet. Then I know that the weight is being carried, and I can also feel it because the horse slows down and doesn't push on me. Okay, but here she wants to keep pushing, so I stop her, and then we can work the other side a bit. And this pushing of the hind leg is quite common. So here again I'm going to push up and back, so that the energy I use is not, I don't pull down and then push back, which I think is a common movement to get a horse to stop. I lift up and then I sort of push backwards, sort of into her body, so that she can easily transfer her weight backwards. So here again we put a little bit of bending into her skull, and then she bends the rib cage. I didn't have to touch her. Right there she tried to not bend the rib cage. So I want to make sure that that rib cage all the time is swinging outwards to the opposite side of the side we're bending on. So here we're bending to the right, so the rib cage should be swinging out to the left. And as you can see, the horse is lowering her head, and that's all happening because the hind leg is coming up and carrying the weight and stepping up underneath the center of gravity. Because otherwise she wouldn't be able to relax. She'd probably carry her head much higher or push on me. So anytime I feel a push, I'm just going to stop. So here she tries to sort of wiggle out of it, and I'm just going to keep pushing back on her. All these horses in the videos are in different stages of training. So it's good for you guys to see the issues that each horse might be working with and the stages, the levels that they might be on. Because each horse is slightly different as to how they respond to training due to their conformation and what they've experienced before, and how many things they have to unlearn before they can learn new things. So it's good for you guys to see how different horses might do different things. I'm just going to let her stop and itch here with the flies, because then you can use it with your own horses that are all going to be different as well. Okay, so I'll work her again here a little bit to the left, working the smaller circle, but I want the bend. And every time I'm feeling for more relaxation, more lightness, less push. And I want to make sure that the horse is not moving sideways, laterally. Okay, because then she's actually evading the bend of the body. So I want the horse to always be moving forward. So if I start to notice that her legs are actually crossing over too much sideways, like they did right there, then I back up more to get her to walk forward with the bend. It has to be a forward motion, not a sideways motion. Okay, because it's the sideways motion that makes them lose balance, because they're not stepping up into their center of gravity. Unless you're doing a shoulder in, where you're specifically making sure that the inside hind leg is stepping towards the center of gravity. But otherwise it's just a side pass, in which case the horse is outside of his center of gravity. Good. And we'll stop again here. So I have to kind of push back on her, sometimes a little hard, because she wants to keep pushing forward. The best time to try to stop her is when her inside leg comes forward and can catch her weight. So I try to time it with that. So as you bring the hind leg forward and forward and forward and forward, you want to make sure that the shoulder is not popping out right there, which it is right now. There. Then you can try to stop, and you see there she stopped better as soon as I corrected the shoulder. So you want to make sure that the hind leg is not pushing so hard that it's pushing out on the right shoulder. And then you keep that forward motion into the circle, maintaining the bend and making sure that the horse is not accidentally straightening out his haunches and actually evading the bend by spinning out with the haunches. If that starts to happen, then like I said, take the horse back up more yourself. Make sure you're not overbending the horse, because the overbend is what causes the shoulder to leave or the haunches to leave the circle. So walk forward or walk backwards more yourself, pull the horse forward and get into a nice bend where the horse keeps moving forward. And then you ask, in a moment of the inside hind leg stepping forward, that's when you can ask the horse to stop, because he's stepping up underneath himself and able to stop balanced.